Why do you spend so much time helping people? Why do you spend so much time with all these people and their cats? But many times people feel like I should spend more time helping people and less time helping cats. But I will say, the truth is, when you help cats, you are also always helping people. Now, people tend to assume that if a cat has a behavior problem, that problem must be with the cat. Most of the time, this simply is not true. Most of these cats really are not difficult, and they don't have behavior problems at all. The fact is, oftentimes their humans have problems, and this creates problems for the cat. Now, whenever a human being has a serious problem, such as illness, bereavement, job loss, divorce, a pandemic, you will often find a cat suffering at the other end of it. So I've learned through doing this that you never help a cat without also helping a person. Now, don't get me wrong. I help a lot of people whose cats won't use the litter box. Cats who scratch on everything except for that lovely scratching post that you brought home for her. And what should you do when you bring home Fluffy as a companion for Puffy? And as it turns out, Puffy didn't want a new brother or sister all that much. But I also help people in distress. For example, recently a woman contacted me and she started off the whole conversation by telling me that she was going to have to surrender her cat. She was sure there was nothing that I could possibly do to help her. You see, she had cancer and several small children. She was terrified, exhausted, and completely overwhelmed. Amidst all of this, she had an older cat, and she was feeling bad because she felt like she couldn't give the cat enough attention. This woman and I talked for a very long time. Actually, I did most of the listening and she did most of the talking. I listened to her describe her situation. Eventually, I said, your children are stressed because you're sick, but they're going to feel even more stressed if they lose the family cat at the same time. I also reminded her that cats are fundamentally loyal, caring, and incredibly perceptive animals, something I'm sure a lot of you already know. So if her cat didn't get the same amount of attention for a period of time because she was getting treated for cancer, well, that cat was part of the family. And that's what families do. And that's okay. I explained to her that the cat would surely prefer to give up some attention temporarily rather than to lose her family permanently. Sometimes people just need to be reassured. By then, the woman was crying. She said to me, do you really think it would be okay for me to keep my cash? So what I learned in this situation was this woman really didn't want to give up her cat at all. She wanted to do the right thing. She just wasn't sure what that was. And in the end, she kept her cash, and I promised my help and guidance and support. And that is what I pretty much do every day. I work to solve cat behavior problems so people do not have to sacrifice the cats who they love. Now, I do a lot of cat behavior counsels. I actually do between 900 and 1,000 cases every single year. And I do it all completely free of charge. It's my personal mission in life that I never want there to be a financial barrier preventing people from keeping their cats in their homes when the issue is a behavior problem. But when you talk to that many people and work with that many cats, you start to notice some interesting things out there that people seem to think about some cats. So I'd like to take this opportunity to highlight some things that people think and to dispel some myths while we are at it. So my first one is cats do not act out of revenge or spite with their pee or poop. Oh, I hear tales of woe. She peed on my bed to teach me a lesson. She peed on my laundry because she was mad at me. She peed on my luggage because I went away on vacation. She peed on my shoes because she does not like my new boyfriend. Well, actually, that one could be true. Cats are very good judges of character. But in all seriousness, I want everyone to know that cats don't pee inappropriately out of spite or revenge. Now, I totally get it that it's easy to assign human qualities to cats because they really do share so many of our emotions. But the truth is, spite and revenge are qualities we humans can proudly call our very own. Cats don't think in terms of right and wrong when it comes to the litter box. Cats think in terms of what meets their needs. So if your cat is having good behavior and using her litter box regularly, it's because that litter box meets her needs. It's in a location that she likes, it has the litter that she likes, it's a type of box that she likes, and so forth. She's not using the litter box because it's the morally correct thing to do. She's using the box because it meets her needs. And if a cat is not using the box and is going somewhere else, well, she's trying to solve a problem as a cat. So if she's not using the box, it's because in her mind, something or someone is preventing her from using that box. And so she has solved the problem as a cat. Maybe not the way we humans would like it solved, but she's solving it as a cat. And that's important to remember. Second, you know that big basket of toys that you have sitting in the corner of your living room, and every once in a while you throw a few fuzzy mice on the floor, a few solo toys on the floor, and probably most times they just sort of sit there. Okay, well, throwing a bunch of solo toys on the floor is not play from your cat's perspective. Now, play is supposed to simulate a hunt. So with solo toys, the cat has to be both the predator and the prey. And that is not going to be very realistic to your cat. I can't tell you how many times people say to me, oh, my cat doesn't play. My cat's fat, she doesn't play. My cat is lazy, she doesn't play. Oh, my cat is older, she doesn't play anymore. But the problem is we don't take the time to play with our cats in a way that properly triggers that cat's prey drive. What I usually recommend to play with the cat is a fishing pole type toy. And that's because you can manipulate the toy at the end of the string in a way that simulates a hunt. So remember, play is supposed to be a hunt for your cat. So with a fishing pole type toy, think of simulating how prey would really act. It's not going to just sit motionless on your living room floor. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low, maybe it slithers along the floor, maybe it hides around the furniture. So really use that toy to manipulate the thing at the end of the string for how a cat would really act when he's hunting prey. Now for your cat, the most important part of this whole game is the capture. So many people think that the point of the game is how long you can keep that toy away from the cat. I'll see the cat get close to the toy, and then my client will yank the toy away right before he can get it. But you want to let your cat get those captures. It's not how long you can keep the toy away from the cat. It's how many times the cat can capture the toy. Your cat will feel empowered and happy with that physical, tangible success that comes from watching, stalking, pouncing, and ultimately capturing. The capturing is the rewarding part for your cat. So whip out that fishing pole type toy. If you don't have one, go get one. Stay with the game for a while. Intersperse the chasing and the pouncing with plenty of captures. Now, remember, this game is supposed to be simulating a hunt. So think about how prey would act after about 10 or 15 minutes. The prey is getting tired. The prey is getting injured. The prey dies. And now let your cat have one final juicy capture. And to make it a perfect play experience, give your cat a little treat that simulates the feast he would have after the capture. Now, when you follow the capture with a treat, your cat's brain is going to release all of those feel-good chemicals, and he's going to feel like king of his castle or queen of her territory. And that's how you want your cats to feel after a play session. The food after the hunt is very important. This is realistic to your cat. And if you play with your cat this way, you will find that your cat's going to play more, because now there's a point to the game. Cats expect to catch and kill after they're hunting, and then they expect to be able to eat what they caught. So you really have to provide that final capture and then follow it with food for a play session to be effective and rewarding for your cat. So along the veins now of that capturing and getting the object, let's talk about laser pointers. I really wish pet supply stores did not sell laser pointers as toys. They were developed to be used for PowerPoint presentations in the office, and that is where they should stay. Laser pointers are actually the cause of so many behavior problems in cats. Think about it. Your poor cat is on a futile chase, pointlessly trying to catch that little red dot that can never be captured. He sees that dot and certain of a sure catch pounces, only to find there's nothing there. There's nothing between his paws. There's nothing between his teeth. Laser pointers cause frustration and anxiety in cats, the exact opposite of what you want to do in a play session. If you have a multi-cat household, laser pointers also create problems between companion cats. So if your cat is always teased with a laser pointer, it will cause that cat to want to get that feeling of capture somewhere else. And if he uses the other cat for that, this may not be that acceptable to the other cat in the household. As I said, cats do expect a catch and kill after play. So a cat who is teased with a laser pointer will try to attack, bite, or scratch a companion cat or even the humans in the household. So laser pointers cause confusion in cats. He can chase the dot, but he never can catch the dot. It's an unwinnable game for your cat. And many times when people come to me and tell me that their cat is aggressive or destructive, I often learn that they're playing with a laser pointer with their cat. Your cat's going to need to redirect that stress and anxiety somewhere. And many times it's perceived by us as aggressive or destructive. But we may be the ones who are the ones who are causing the problem if you're using a laser pointer with a cat. So play smart, play safe, and play in a way that satisfies your cat's natural hunting muscles. And use a fishing pole type toy when you play with your cat. The last myth I want to dispel is cats do not want or need privacy when they use their litter boxes. Now, I know that covered boxes from a human perspective may provide privacy for our cats, but we're placing a human need onto our cats. Our cats actually want the complete opposite. When your cat is in her litter box, she's in a very vulnerable position. That peeing position or pooping position makes your cat very vulnerable for any potential opponents or invaders, or even another cat or another pet in the household. A covered litter box completely blocks your cat's visual field, and it completely ruins your cat's ability to escape. So your cat wants to know that she can escape should an opponent appear. With a covered box, your cat can't see around her. She doesn't have a clear visual field. She doesn't have ample visual warning time. And worse, should there be an invader, the only means of escape is right into that invader's face. Now, I want to point out that these invaders or opponents can be real or imagined. Even only cats in the household have this instinct. So you really want to make sure that your litter boxes are in a location where there's a clear visual field. They can see all the way around them, and that they have potential for escape if needed, even if it's only in the cat's mind. So how did I get here? How did I make my life's work of talking about pee and poop and scratching and meowing and all the other delightful little things that I get asked every day? Well, I guess like a lot of things, I'm going to go ahead and blame my parents. My parents' views on pets, cats or otherwise, could not have been more different. Now, my dad grew up in Dorchester, Massachusetts, and he grew up in a small, crowded apartment that his immediate family shared with his extended family. The apartment didn't allow pets, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway. There wasn't enough room. There was a lot of people squeezed into this apartment. And my dad's family was very poor. They couldn't have afforded, a pet and the care that it needs anyway. On the other hand, My mother grew up in a single family home with lots of room and an ample backyard, and pets were beloved companions within the family, and her cats were cherished companion members of the family. Later in their marriage, my parents were forced to strike a bit of a compromise about pets in our home when their firstborn, me, seemed to have discovered an endless parade of cats in the neighborhood who really needed me and who somehow ended up at our house. But with bringing all of these cats home came lessons in responsibility. And I can remember this, it could have happened yesterday, it's still so clear in my mind. I was sitting at the breakfast table, having my breakfast, and my dad came walking down the stairs and saw me eating, and he said to me, "Rachel, have you fed your cats yet?" And I said, "Oh no, Dad, I haven't yet, but I promise. As soon as I finish eating breakfast, I'm going to feed the cats." And he made me stop eating, and he said, "No, you need to feed your cats before you feed yourself. If you want to have pets, you need to realize that they are dependent on you. You are their caretaker, and you need to take care of their needs before you take care of your needs." And that was a very powerful lesson to me as a little girl. And to this day, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I feed my cats and clean the litter boxes and refresh their water and so forth before I do anything for myself. Now, growing up with all of these cats, I deeply loved these cats and mourned their loss when one died. And at some point, I began to memorize the names and the faces of all of the cats who had lived, loved, and then died at our house. One day I asked my dad whether he thought all of those cats would meet me in heaven and whether they would recognize me and I them. He assured me that they would, that the cats would remember me and I would remember them forever. Thinking back, the lesson I learned wasn't so much about the individual cats, but the lesson I learned was that these relationships with our cats last. My father's assurances taught me that these relationships with our companion cats have meaning, that these relationships with our cats are enduring. They are important. And to me, I grew up believing that this meant that they were worth saving. My name is Rachel Geller. I'm a certified cat behaviorist, and I'm ready to take all of your cat behavior questions now. So bring them on.
Okay, we've got a couple so far. Let's see. The first one is, how do you train a new kitten to use the litter box?
The best way to do this is start off the kitten in a small room. I call it a sanctuary room. So start your kitten off in a small room with no hiding places or places she can get under. So if you have a bed or a bureau in that room, block those off with luggage or storage containers or whatever you can. So going to be in a small room. It's going to be open. I'm going to put a litter box right in the middle of that room. This way, the litter box is going to have a clear visual field. It's going to be safe for her to use. And also what I suggest is use a litter called Cat Attract. This is a litter that has herbs in it that attract the cat to the box. And this will help get her to venture into that box. Now, cats are clean and fastidious creatures, and they want to use their box. They don't want to go on a wood floor and have the pee all over the place. And they don't want to go in a place where it's going to be absorbed and they have to maybe sit in their own smell. So this is why a small room is preferable. Have that litter box right in the middle. Use a little bit of Cat Attract litter in that box. And she will go to the box pretty much on her own if you set it up that there's not another place to pee that's going to be uncomfortable. The other thing is that I like about Cat Attract litter is it has a soft, sandy texture that would replicate, what she might find outdoors. So another way to get the cat to use the litter box is to avoid litters that may cause aversion. So for example, you don't want a litter box that has a lot of a litter that has a lot of additives. You don't want a lot of perfumey things added and so forth. So an unscented litter that has a soft sandy texture, and you can either fill the whole box with Cat Attract or put a little bit on top, will really help with that getting her to use the box. Last, because she is a kitten, make sure you use a box that's very low-sided because she might have trouble getting into a high-sided box.
Okay, great. Okay, this one. I am currently fostering a cat that we think is about 2 years old. We have had him for a few weeks now, and let's see. And he has been biting me, but not breaking the skin. I will pet him a few times and he'll start purring and then he'll start biting. He's also started biting my arm to wake me up in the morning. What is your opinion on how to fix this?
Okay, the first thing I want you to do, and this is very, very important, is you have a cat who has a prey drive and he wants to feel that physical, feeling of having that something between his teeth. And that's normal for a lot of cats. Now, for everybody in this Zoom, if the only stimulation your cat is getting in her life is your ankles as you walk by or your hands moving or something like that, your cat's going to go after that because cats are natural born hunters and they need stimulation. They need to sink their teeth into something. So the first thing I want this person to do is get on a regular schedule of interactive play sessions. And I want you to do like a 15-minute session twice a day. Now, during that session, I want you to make sure you provide your cat with about 8 to 10 captures. So during the game, let the cat get the thing at the end of the rope. And when the cat notices it's not moving, the cat will release the grip and you can start up the game again. So during the game, about 10 to 15 minutes, make sure you have about 8 to 10 captures. And again, as I said in my little talk, I want you to wind the game down as if the cat was a successful hunter and he's getting the prey. So the prey gets injured and died, everything's winding down, final capture, follow this immediately with food. So the cat gets that opportunity to bite into something. So even if you do play with your cat, if you don't end it with food, you're leaving the cat revved up instead of calmed down. So the biting is probably a result of not having enough other activity that involves appropriate biting. Now, here's the next thing I want you to do. If the cat is coming to your ankles or the cat is going to bite you, I want you to employ a method I call distraction and redirection. So a lot of people have that feeling, I think that cat's going to go after me, or they notice something different in the cat's face, or maybe the skin is getting a little twitchy. Glancing at your hands or ankles is another sign. But a lot of people have that feeling when it's going to happen. So when you know the cat's going to bite you or the cat's already in motion towards you, I want you to distract the cat with a toy. Something that makes noise is perfect. So a crinkly Mylar ball, some of those things that you can shake. Just distract your cat with a toy and then toss it. All cats would rather go after the prey. So now you've just shifted your cat out of the negative, anxious mode and into the very positive mode of a hunter. And now I want you to do a little impromptu interactive play session, exactly the way I've been describing. Wind down, final capture, eat the food. So now your skin is safe. The cat gets to release his anxiety. Everybody wins. Now, the last thing I want to address is I think you said that sometimes you're petting the cat and the cat will turn around and bite. This is something called petting aggression, and it happens when the cat gets overstimulated. And it does seem to take people by surprise because they think they're enjoying this lovely moment of closeness with their cat, and then all of a sudden, seemingly out of nowhere, you get bitten. So what I want you to do is find that threshold where the cat will accept petting before he kind of flips that switch. So start to take notice how long you can pet the cat before the bite. And whatever that is, we're going to always stay below that threshold. We're going to end the session of petting before he gets to that point of overstimulation. So this way you leave him in a contented state, or maybe even wishing he had more, rather than getting to that point of overstimulation. So say he allows 5 minutes of petting before he bites. From now on, I never want you to pet him more than 2 minutes. Say he only allows 1 minute petting before he bites. I want you to never go more than 20 seconds. So we're going to always stay below that threshold. And if things get better, you can start gradually adding in a little more time. But the key is to have the petting always be less than the time of when it kind of turns around and does the biting. And And you know what? The more your cat sees that you understand him, the better things will be. And this will help, this will really go a long way with the relationship you have with your cat too.
Okay. All right. I have 4 adult cats, 2 male, 2 female. Recently, the oldest male has been bullying the oldest female. He won't let her use the litter box. He'll jump on her while in the box, wait for her to come out of the box and pounce on her, hide around the corner and jump on her. And I've got 4 cats and 6 litter boxes.
Okay, so just in case, make sure all the boxes are uncovered, because the cat who's being intimidated or bullied is not going to want to go into a covered box. It's going to be way too scary in there. But also make sure your boxes are all in locations that have clear, clean sight lines. So do a really good real estate reality check and think about it from a cat's perspective. So you may have a box pushed up against a wall. From a cat's perspective, that's blocking her view. You might have a box under a desk or in a corner or wedged behind something. So really look where your boxes are. If the box is on the same side as a doorway into the room, when the cat's in that box, you can't see out the door and into the hallway. So you always want the box on the opposite wall where the doorway is. So really go through the locations of your litter box very carefully and make sure they're all in a place where the cat has a clear, clean, visual field and ample opportunity to escape. Now, the other thing is the cat who is doing the ambushing and the bullying. If you do see him in motion, if you know it's going to happen, you can always use the distraction and redirection method that I just described for that issue as well. When the bully is proceeding to the box because he sees the intimidated cat in that box, distract him with a toy, trigger his prey drive, use a fishing pole type toy to move him away from the box, away from your other cat as his target, and let his target be the prey. And now we're retraining your cat with a positive method, because you're giving him a reason not to bother the other cat in the box, because when he doesn't bother the other cat in the box and plays with you instead, he's getting playtime, attention, satisfying captures, and food. And that's probably way better and way more enticing to your cat than ambushing the other cat in the box. So you can use distraction and redirection and play as a positive method of retraining the cat also. But if there's a place where the intimidated cat really likes to hang out, you might want to put a box in that location too. But I do find I'll talk to people about litter box locations and they'll insist that everything's fine. And then I'll say, well, can you send me some pictures? And then I'll say, okay, that box needs to be pulled out from the wall, like a good 8 to 10 inches. That box needs to be pulled out of the corner. Oh, this one's under a desk. This one's under a table. Or my favorite one, I have 5 litter boxes, but they're all in one room. So that doesn't do any good either. They need to be in multiple rooms and multiple levels of the house. If you need more, please feel free to go to my website, drrachelcatbehavior.com, and submit your question, and I can help you further.
Okay. And do we have time for a few more?
I think so. What time is it?
It is 2:30.
Oh, yes. We have plenty of time.
Okay, good. So I am going to ask you a few more, and I'm going to try to make them, there's a lot of varying topics, which I'm going to try to do too. Okay, what about leaving cats alone in the house while I'm away for a few nights or even a week or longer? I have someone coming over to check them every day, to clean litter box and check food dispensed from gravity feeder. Is this the right thing to do?
Yeah, I am a big fan of leaving your cats in your home when you go away and have a pet sitter come in rather than boarding your cats. When you board your cats, they're in a place with unfamiliar people, unfamiliar smells, unfamiliar sounds, and that can be stressful for a lot of cats. Cats really like predictability and cats like routine. So if they can stay in your home while you're away and you can have somebody come in, that's great. The thing I like to do for cats who are home alone is to think of ways to create signs of life in your home, even when you're not there. So some ideas to do that are leaving a radio on, playing softly. You can even leave a TV. If you have a small TV, you can leave that on. You can I really like the idea of putting your lights on timers. So the cats are following that routine, which is comforting. So, the lights would come on in the evening when it's dark, and they'll go out by themselves, maybe the time you would generally go to bed. Maybe you can have them in a few different rooms. So cats find that very comforting because the routine doesn't change. So do things in your home to create signs of life. And yes, absolutely have a pet sitter come by. And if you can, I do always think it's preferable to keep the cat in the home. And the other thing is cats don't really mark time the way we do. So we're thinking like, oh, we've been away for 5 days, 5 days is a lot for the cat, but to the cat, it might feel like 2 days. They don't really mark calendar days the way we do. So if you do those things, you could even, if your cats get very nervous, leave a few feel away or comfort zone diffusers plugged into the house too.
Okay. And here's one. My 13-year-old doesn't say a thing all day, but 2 minutes after I'm in bed, she starts caterwauling downstairs, then drags up the mouse wand toy to present to me. I assume it's her gift to me, but lately her crying downstairs has been longer and longer, and that's regardless of whether we played or not. Any thoughts? Kind of embarrassing with overnight guests.
I'm just laughing because I have a cat right now who really is very vocal and he likes to meow very loudly. And I've had some interesting remarks when I've been on the phone or and so forth. So I get it. So a couple of things. So he's giving you a little bit of hint with that wand toy. So I would suggest, so I've talked a lot about interactive play. You can also use that to reset a cat's internal clock and to use that to get your cat to sleep later into the night. So when your cat has a really robust and beneficial interactive play session and then has food after the session, you now tap into your cat's natural hunt, eat, sleep cycle. So if you can do this right before bed, not like 2 hours before bed, but right before bed, you'll get him to fall into that cycle, that sleep cycle later, which will cause him to sleep later on the other end. The other thing you can do is provide some interactive activity toys such as puzzle feeders for him to use should he wake up before you, and it sounds like he is. So puzzle feeders are toys that the cat has to manipulate them in some way or overcome some challenge or complete some task. And when they do it just right, a little bit of food is doled out. So if you leave these on the floor before you go to bed, here's a way that doesn't involve you, that the cats can do a little hunting, a little playing, and then get a little bit of food at the end. And that will put the cat back into her hunt, eat, sleep cycle. So play session right before bed, leave some interactive activity, puzzle feeders out on the floor when you go to sleep at night. And the other thing you can do is you can leave out enticing things for the cat to like chew on, like cat grass, or there's a product called catnip infused tissue paper. And these are things the cat can use on her own, so she's not going to bother you and wake you up.
Okay, and we've adopted a feral kitten. Her flight instinct is very strong. She does not like being picked up. How can we train her to allow us to pick her up?
Okay, so does she let you get close to her and touch her? Whoever that was.
You can unmute yourself if you want to answer.
Yes.
Okay, so you can touch her and pet her. She doesn't like
Yes.
get picked up. Okay, perfect. That was important for how I'm going to answer the question. Okay, so what you can do to get your cat used to being picked up is, say she's napping on the couch. She's already relaxed. She's sleeping. She's content. She's calm. So one thing that you can do is sit down next to her on the couch and just slowly move her over onto your lap. So you're really not picking her up, but you're moving her a little bit up onto your lap. Have treats to give her as a reward, but if she starts to squirm and she wants to get off, let her go. So anytime you can, when you see her completely relaxed and sleeping, sit down next to her and just glide her onto your lap. The other thing you can do is pick her up for very short distances to something pleasurable, like pick her up a little bit to bring her to her food bowl, or pick her up a little bit to bring her to a play session. But make these trips very short. So do that. In addition to that, I want us to start working on desensitizing your cat to being picked up off the floor. So I want you to start off with putting your hands on the side of the cat and literally only picking her up for about an inch high for a few seconds and put her back down. And do these sessions as often as you can throughout the day. Pick her up just an inch off the floor, hold it, place her back down. When that's going okay, when she stops squirming or freaking out or whatever she does, then you can add another inch. So now hold her 2 inches off the floor and you can add more time. Instead of 5 seconds, we can go for 10 seconds. When that's going okay, we can add another inch and add the duration of time. So you see where I'm going here. We're going to present it to her very gradually and incrementally. And this is called desensitization, which basically is if you present cats something that they're fearful of in small enough increments or bits, you can get them used to it and they'll see, okay, nothing bad is happening. I'm not getting harmed. There's not any negative questions. Okay, I'm all right with this. And then we can add in a little bit more. It's kind of like, think of something that you're afraid of. Like I don't like spiders that much. So if somebody wanted me to get used to spiders by like dumping me into a giant vat of spiders, it probably wouldn't be that helpful. But if someone held a spider like 10 feet away from me and said, oh, look at that spider, I might be like, oh, okay, that spider's okay. So kind of the same thing with getting your cat to do something new. You don't want to just go from 0 to 60 and pick her all the way up from the floor and have her up here. She's going to have a total loss of control. And it's going to freak her out. But if we start off little, let her get used to that, then add a little more, let her get used to that. Eventually we can work our way all the way up.
Okay.
And treats are always good too. After you do any of these activities, a little treat doesn't hurt.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. I read online that a cat slow blinking is a way of communicating affection. So now I've been slow blinking at my cats. Is there anything to that?
Yes, it's very true. Cats perceive, or some cats perceive a direct gaze as a threat, which is, something that would happen if the cat was outside. And if an opponent or a predator do that to the cat, that would be threatening. So when you close your eyes to your cat, you're indicating to your cat that you're a non-threatening individual. And many cats, if you slow blink, will slow blink back. So they're letting you know they feel the same way, which is very nice.
Okay. And someone else has a question about integrating a stray cat into their household with other cats and dogs. Do you have anything to say about that?
So it needs to be slow and gradual to meet the needs of the resident pets and to meet the need of the newcomer. So you must start off the newcomer in a separate room that I like to call a sanctuary room. If the resident cat feels like her territory is up for grabs, that's going to be very scary for her. Territory is very important to a cat, and so you would never want your cat to feel like her territory is up for grabs to anyone. And on the flip side, if you just drop the newcomer into the household, he's going to feel very quickly like he was plopped into enemy territory. So start off the newcomer in a small, separate room, and I'm going to give the bullet point version here, but first you want to do some scent swapping, then you want to do some soil swapping, then you want to put the other pets in the separate room, but not the sanctuary room, and start letting the cat roam without the other pets there. Then when you get that newcomer back in the room, the other pets can come back out. So what happens here is the newcomer investigates the scents of the other animals, but she also leaves her own deposits. And then your resident pets can investigate and take in these deposits on their time frame. So you really want to set it up so the cats have control over the situation, and the cats feel like anything that they accept is all their idea. So when I say scent swapping, take a sock and rub the newcomer around the face and chin so you get all of her deposits on there, and put that in a place for the resident cat to find. Just put it in an area where he hangs out a lot, and the same the other way around. So when a cat can go and investigate the scents on their own time frame, and when they feel like it, without having to deal with the other cat yet, this is very comforting to a cat because she can control the situation and do things at her own pace. The more we can set things up to trick the cat into thinking it's all her idea, the better things are going to be. This works great on my husband too, by the way. But you really want to go through a structured process, like, as I said, scent swapping, soil swapping, separate exploration sessions. And then the really important part is what I call food and visual therapy. Cats are very motivated by food, and food gives cats positive associations. So the whole idea is you want your resident cat to think, now that I think about it, whenever that newcomer cat is around, I get tasty treats. Maybe that newcomer is not so bad after all. So you want to just open the door a crack to the sanctuary room, let the cats see each other. You can do this with the dog too. Start off by feeding just a little bit of food with the door only cracked, and they can be far away, and then end the session quickly. You always want every session to end on a positive note. So I'd rather you do a 5-minute session that ends well than to try to stretch out into a 2-minute session that ends with fur flying. So feed a little treat, close the door, then gradually you're going to move the bowls a little closer, open the door a little wider, and so forth. When that's going well, then I like to add a baby gate phase, still do the feeding on either side, but now the baby gate is there as protection, but it's more open. And then you can start letting the cats be together. But again, we never want to go from 0 to 60 with cats. So we're going to let them be together 10 minutes for a few days. That's going well, we can let them be together 20 minutes for a few days, and so forth. Keep working up. So you always want to be desensitizing the cat, presenting the thing that they're afraid of, in this case, a new cat, in very small increments, and always build up from there.
Okay, and we have another one that's kind of a variation on some of these. They have a cat that's very friendly to family members, but runs away and is afraid of any visitors, regardless of whether she knows them. How can we get her acclimated to visitors without being so fearful?
You probably won't. So there are many cats who have a very strong stranger danger, threshold. And a lot of cats, no matter what you do, are just never going to accept being very loving to people they don't know all that well. But don't worry about it, because she's just coping in the way she knows how as a cat. And so she's hiding, she's fine. She finds a small, secure place, and she's okay with that. Now, if you have a visitor who comes all the time, and it would really mean a lot to you if the cat could stay out, or it's a family member, there are things you can do. And again, it involves a process of desensitization. So you could find an accomplice, a friend or a family member who's willing to do this, who the cat doesn't know very well, and start off with this person just standing in the doorway. And while the person's standing in the doorway or just in front of the door, you can have an interactive play session with your cat, do something very positive. And that's all happening with the stranger at the door. And then in a few days, the stranger can come in a little closer. And again, you're going to conduct an interactive play session, follow it with a treat. You're boosting the cat's confidence, the cat feels good, and the person is right there. When that's going well, the person can come closer. When it's going really great, you could have the person stand right next to you as you conduct the interactive play session. And if that's going great, then you can have the person hold the wand and do the session, and you stand next to that person. So you can definitely create new positive associations with someone the cat doesn't know, but it is a little bit of a process. So I just want to reassure you, if the cat runs and hides, that's totally normal. It's nothing to worry about, and you don't have to feel bad. She's solving her problem as a cat, feeling safe. And when the person leaves, she comes back out, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you do feel very strongly there's some people that you want your cat to, tolerate, you could always use kind of this desensitization procedure that I just outlined. But note, I'm using the word tolerate, not gleefully embrace. The cat may never get to the point where she's going to be super affectionate with the person, but you can help her not be as afraid.
Okay, and we've got one about food. Finicky eaters. Only wet food my cat will consistently eat is shreds, morsels of Friskies and gravy. Recommend way of introducing cat to other foods. Right now, she's Royal Canin 95 dry food eater now.
Okay, well, that's a good brand of cat food. There's no reason why your cat needs to eat, any more than maybe 3 or 4 types of food. So it's okay. Actually, often what happens is if you try to present too many different foods to cats, it can actually make them more finicky. Because should your cat be outside, she's not going to have a menu like you see at Petco of, ooh, shrimp and beef and chicken and cheese and whatever. I mean, these options aren't going to exist in the outside world. So your cat's instinct is not made to have this menu that you see when you go down the cat food aisle of like these endless combinations and stews and feasts and pâtés and so forth. So many times people actually create finicky eaters by presenting the cat with too many types of cat food, and it just confuses them. So best to stick with 3 or 4 types. Texture is very important to a cat. So if there's a texture your cat likes, I would just stick with that. And it's okay if there's only a few foods. The vast majority of cats prefer to have a smaller variety because it just feels more natural to them.
Okay. Yeah, let's see what else we have. Anything you want to say in general about feral cats, about whether they're good to adopt? Because we've had a couple questions.
Well, I guess it depends on the situation. So if the cat is truly feral and he has a colony and he's happy there, I'm a fan of, not relocating cats that are already happy where they are. But sometimes the cats do turn and they become semi-feral, or they just become used to humans. I mean, many cats in colonies, if there's a feeder, they'll start getting used to human presence. I have domesticated many semi-feral and even feral cats in my lifetime. I brought in a feral cat that was so feral, she put my husband into the emergency room. And actually today is our 35th wedding anniversary. So he stayed with me even through that. But, you can definitely domesticate many semi-feral or feral cats. It depends if you're up for the challenge. It can take years. The cat that I domesticated, who put my husband in the emergency room, it took me a good 2 years to domesticate her. And it was definitely a project, but I will say she turned into one of the most affectionate cats I ever had. So, I never like to give up hope on a cat, but as I said, it really depends on the situation. If that cat is hard-wild, feral, and the cat lives in a colony and the cat is happy in that colony, I would be reluctant to bring a cat like that in. But if the cat is kind of interested in people, or is maybe what I might call semi-feral, she'll tolerate you a little bit, I think you can absolutely, work with those cats and domesticate those cats.
Okay, we have another litter box question. I know you've covered that a lot, but I guess the difference is they said that one of them will poop in the litter box, but then pee all over the house. Is there anything to do about that?
So there are some cats who don't like to pee and poop in the same box. So your best bet is to add some extra boxes. So, and people hate this answer because like nobody wants a house full of litter boxes, but you don't want pee all over your house either. So this might be a little better. So place litter boxes around your house, and it doesn't have to stay like that, because then you can just remove the ones that she's not using. She's probably going to choose one to pee in. So again, make sure the litter box is in a very open area. It's not up against a wall. It's not in a corner. It's not wedged under something or behind something. Even if you have only one cat, I usually say to have at least 2 or 3 litter boxes, because if she's peed in one, she wants another one to poop in. And if she's peed in 2, and there's only a third option, that's going to help. So add boxes, have them uncovered. The other thing you could do is, again, try cat attract litter. It has herbs in it that does entice the cat to use the box. And if you really have, a hardcore peer, we can always do crate training. And that's something that's needs a little more explanation. So feel free to reach out to me if you are interested in the crate training program. I have one I haven't lost on this one yet. It really forces the cat to use a litter box, but it means keeping your cat in a crate for a little bit of a time, and not everybody has the stomach for it. But try, really think about where your litter boxes are, that there are enough litter boxes so the cat has a choice, and let's take it from there. You can let me know.
All right. And what is, how do you get cats to stop jumping on counters or tables?
Okay, so first figure out why they are going up there. Is it after the food? Is it because they like the elevation? Are there other cats in the household and she feels safer up there? So your first thing to do with the retrain is kind of figure out the reason. If it's food, we can work with that in one way. If it's elevation, we can work about that in another way. So that's the first thing you want to do. But in general, you never want to only deter or only provide an alternative. You need to do both in conjunction with each other. So let's say the cat is jumping up there because she likes the elevation. Make sure you have plenty of vertical space in your house, cat trees, window perches. If you don't have a lot of room, you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can create vertical space without spending a lot of money. Look around your house. Chances are there's some shelving that's going unused. Backs of sofas can become vertical space with a quilt placed on there. Tops of bureaus, you put a pillow up there, and so forth. So make sure you're providing a cat with plenty of vertical space, because you want your cat to have an equally appealing alternative as we take something away. So you never want to take something away without providing an equally enticing alternative for your cat. So for the tables or the counters, I want you to start off by placing something on those areas that are not appealing for a cat to land on. Examples are double-sided tape, contact paper, carpet runners with the nubby side up. So in general, think slick or sticky. These are textures cats don't like to land on. In addition, you can take some Poland spring bottles, fill them a little bit with pennies, put the cover back on, and line the edge of the counter or the table with these little Poland spring bottles. What happens now is when your cat jumps up onto the table or counter, the bottles are going to fall, it's going to startle your cat, and she's going to jump off. The thing that's great about these techniques that I'm providing for you is you're not tied to them. You're not constantly reprimanding your cat. They work whether you're there or not. The cat doesn't get upset at you for punishing the cat. The cat just comes to the conclusion on her own that, this isn't the best place to jump on anyway. I'm going to go over to my cat tree. It's way better. So make it very unenticing, but make sure you're providing appealing alternatives at the same time. Last, there is a product called S-Cash, and it's just how it sounds. It's SSS Cat. It's just a bottle, like a can that's of compressed air. And if the cat comes near where you're trying to keep her away from, it'll emit a hissing sound and the cat won't want to go there. So that's an option too. You could use something like that.
Okay, and the last question is just a variation on the cat not wanting to be touched. What about a cat that you're having trouble brushing?
Yeah, a lot of cats don't love to be brushed either. So, if the cat, again, is something you can start small, start off with just the top of the cat's head or the back of the neck, because these are places that cats usually accept touch more easily before you go, full speed ahead on the entire body. So, honestly, if somebody came up to me and put a brush on my whole body, might be a little taken aback too. So start off small. Just do the head, then maybe go to the head and the back of the neck, then add a little bit. Don't just go and swoosh the cat all at once, because they may not like that, especially if they're not used to being, brushed consistently. So that's one thing that you can do. If the cat is tending to get mats, I do always recommend bringing the cat to a professional groomer or a vet tech, because the mats actually get knitted into the skin. So if you're not careful, you can cut the cat's skin, because the skin actually gets up into that mat. The other thing you can do to get your cat used to the feeling of the brush is start off first with something I call a petting wand. And it's a great interim way to get your cat used to that feeling of having her whole body stroked. So a petting wand is just, it can be any long wand. You can repurpose the other end of a fishing pole type toy that you already have. You can use a yardstick or a ruler. I'm always using the wooden spoons that come with those big salad sets, those giant wooden spoons for this. Put something soft at one end, a fleece mitten, or a soft, cozy fleece hat. Or you can even rip up some old t-shirts and wrap them around one end. So something like that that's soft, but it's still like in a form of a brush or an item that you're using, and try petting your cat with that first. So you're doing the brushing motion, you're going along the cat's whole body, but you're using something that's very soft. So that could be a good interim step to get your cat used to that brushing motion. To make it go even a little better, you could spray the soft item at the end of the wand with some Comfort Zone or some Feel Away. These are synthetic pheromone products that trick a cat into thinking that this is something friendly, that is already marked as hers, and that can help reduce the stress level as well.
Oh, great. Okay, and just a reminder for everyone that her book is available at 8 Cousins and the library. And her website, which I typed out, is drrachelcatbehavior.com. And if anyone needs it again, you can always email me. And we had a lot of thank yous for a wonderful presentation. And someone said that they've adopted some stray cats and they've learned a lot about what to do as well.
Good.
So we've really, really appreciated this. And again, I am recording this and I will send out the link as soon as I have it. And thank you. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Dr. Rachel?
I would just thank you for hosting me today. From
my
my
pleasure.
perspective, you know, the more I can help people who are struggling with cat behaviors, and the more I can help people create harmonious relationships with their cats and want to keep them in their homes, it's all good. So thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.